What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, listen, y'all. I've heard a couple of videos, and I did read an article about Teofimo Lopez supposedly going up to 147. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If Teofimo Lopez is going to 147, now what I'm waiting to hear, he was offered this WBA Super Championship, right? Did he accept that? And is that the reason he's going to 147? Because he's all over the place for that matter. Now, he just beat Josh Taylor. Okay, so now not only was he unified at 135, but now he's champion, at 140. Now, if he's going to 147, I'm already hearing people talking about he and Crawford. Okay, first, Crawford wants to fight Charlo. He wants to fight Canelo. So, what's the chances of him staying at 147 to fight, Teofimo? Because if that is the case, what I'm guaranteeing you that won't happen is Teofimo's not going to go to 147 and Crawford's his first fight. No, he go to 147, let me adjust and see what it feels like and take one of the lesser fighters at 147. And the highest he might go in terms of a fighter that does have some credibility to his name is like a Ugas. Because Ugas is getting older and he's not the same fighter that he was. We saw that even against Pacquiao. Ugas beating an aging Pacquiao that's no longer the same. So that's about probably the toughest he'd go. I don't see him going up to fight a Gerard Dukes Ennis, or Ortiz. I don't see him going up to fight either one of those guys. So I would, if anything, he'd probably have 2 test the water type fights. Well, that would be 2 years because these motherfuckers are not fighting twice a year. Terrence Crawford will be, 37 by then? So, and why would Terrence Crawford entertain that? Especially when, this whole talk about Tank Davis and all this shit, and now I'm hearing, Tank Davis is just joking around saying he'll knock out Crawford or what. I don't know, man. Just a lot of silly shit. But in terms of Teofimo Lopez, now, this is the way I see it. For namesake, if it's about more money and he decided he wanted to fight against Teofimo Lopez, see, this is where I disagree with that and why fighters need to be careful and mindful of what they say. When Terrence Crawford came from 140 to 147, all these fighters made excuses to not fight him. Oh, you ain't did nothing at 147 yet. Yeah, you was, Keith Thurman was one of the main people. He was one of the main people. That was at 140. You know what I'm saying? That's great what you did at 140. You was undisputed champion. Nobody can take that from you. But at 147, this is a whole different house now. And you ain't done nothing here. Fighters been here before you. You got to, for you to just come jump the gun. Nah, you got to prove yourself. Okay. Well, Jerron Boots Ennis has been proving himself at 147. And he's a guy that people don't want to fight as well. So, again, yeah, if he fights Teofimo, has a little more prestige, his name in terms of holding titles and shit. Yeah, okay. But that would be you allowing somebody to jump the gun. Now you're going to treat Jerron Boots Ennis the same way people was treating you. And all that man want to do is prove himself and fight the best in the division. Well, you're that guy. So that would be his choice. But see, you always got to think, you had the same complaints at one point as Jerron Boots Ennis. Errol Spence had the same complaints as Jerron Boots Ennis. So at the end of the day, it's like, you came up from a smaller weight, so did Teofimo Lopez. So nobody can come with the excuse about Teofimo was too small, including himself. He goes up, and I believe, if that would be the fight, it wouldn't be right away. Like I said, so it would be at least 2 years. And why sit here and deny Jerron Boots Ennis? And I'm saying that because if that would be the direction, people start negotiating. Not necessarily sit down and make a fight happen right now, but they try to give a timetable, different than, his people call his people type thing. They try to work something out, and then next thing you know, guys are fighting lesser fighters. They're not saying anything about, each other in terms of a fight itself, but they're taking shots at each other. They're saying shit, trying to build it up and lead to it. Truthfully, man, it's like this. If Terrence Crawford is willing to go up to 168 to fight Canelo or Jermell Charlo, that would be obviously a fight he wants right after, immediately to be next after Jermell Charlo and Canelo fights. So at what point does he feel the need to wait to stay at 147 to wait 2 years for Teofimo? And you got to look at it like that realistically. It's not like if Teofimo comes up, I doubt very seriously he would be the first fight. I doubt very seriously. That is a fight that he want to make sure he's ready for. And we already know that, Crawford can hurt him. I don't underestimate what a person can do. Like I said, you never know what's going to happen when a fighter shows up. The difference with Terrence Crawford, too, is he's another guy that's been consistent. Like I tell you guys, Floyd Mayweather's the only fighter I ever bet on every time he fight. Not every fight he had, but he's the only one, like, no matter who Floyd's, I'm betting on Floyd. No other fighter, I bet on just consistently. It's fights that I wanted to bet on, and I said, nah, because I'm not sure. And sometimes it's like, yeah, that person lost, or they won, but I didn't feel no kind of way about it. Terrence Crawford has showed consistency. He's been winning fights. So, even when a fighter has a better resume than another guy, it doesn't necessarily mean that he beats that guy. You understand what I mean? It's just he has a better resume. And so when people say, oh, who have you fought? It's like, no, you sound stupid because his resume is better than his resume. Doesn't mean that he's going to beat that guy when they fight each other. So at the end of the day, my whole thing about, a fight between these two is like, nah, man, Jaron Boots Ennis has been knocking on Terrence Crawford's door for the longest. He said it's a fight that he definitely would take. Yeah, he'd fight him, and they had their little words and everything. Okay. So, I personally, if I had to pick what fight I'd rather see Crawford versus Ennis than Crawford versus, Teofimo. And in fact, just like I said, Teofimo's not going to come to 147 and go after Jaron Boots Ennis. I listen, it's going to be a much lesser fighter. And Ugas is 37 right now, whatever. Battle tested but beaten down, a lot of wear and tear. And you can see he's not the same fighter that he once was. He's now a fighter that's good off of experience. But explosiveness, the power, the reflexes, like all that stuff, you can see he's not the same guy. So, and he might not even be the first fight at 147 if Teofimo really comes at the 147. He'd probably be the second fight. Who knows? Maybe even three. Who knows? And the point is, while that's happening, in the meantime, Crawford's not going to sit back and wait for Teofimo. And he'd be foolish to. And the thing is, like I said, he's way older than Teofimo. So it suits him that if that was to happen, that fight happens sooner than later. But I don't even see, really all this talk. Every time I turn around, another fight is going up and down in weight. So what I'm saying is, I don't know if this move to 147, if it's legit that he's doing it. Did he accept this belt from WBA, and then all of a sudden now he's making this jump to 147 through that? That I don't know. So, it's so much things right now going on that I'm hearing that's going on in boxing that I don't know how legit these things are, but then you got channel after channel after channel talking about certain things. And you went to 140, you made a big deal about going to 140, you said all these things about that you feel more comfortable there. Okay, there's still work to be done at 140. And,
Scared of a little blood? Dr. Garcia? Crest reality checkup.
Devin Haney's supposed to be fighting Regis. Are you running from Devin Haney? Because I'm pretty sure that's what everybody would be saying about Devin if he did the same exact thing. That, now all of a sudden Dev want to go to 147. He's running from Teofimo. I'm just saying, what's the deal? What is the deal? This shit just doesn't make any sense to me, man. Everybody's all over the place. You want to fight this guy one week. The following week, you want this guy. The following week is that guy. And everybody's just all over the place with their position and their respective weight class. What is the deal? So I don't know. We'll see how things go. But personally, I'd rather see Jaron Boots Ennis fight Terrence Crawford. That's the fight I want to see at 147. As far as Teofimo goes, like I said, there's still work to be done at 140. I don't see a reason for him to not fight the challengers at 140, especially when at 147, who the big dog is there. And, who are you going up to fight against? And we already know that, Spence has exercised his rematch clause. So, you know, I mean, like I said, you look at the timetable, we talking at least 2.5, 3 years before Teofimo and Crawford would fight, if that would be the case. And that's if Teofimo wins. You know, because even though, you know, sometimes fighters, you can see that they're not the same, they still might have enough in the tank to beat a certain fighter. You know, so we never know. George Kambosos did it. You know, he's a lot younger than, you know, Ugas as well. But bottom line, nobody thought, how many people really thought that George Kambosos was going to win? You know, after the fight, everybody, oh, no, you ain't know nothing. Shut up, you ain't know nothing. But you never know. You never know. Just saying, you know, all this bouncing up and down in weight shit is like, it's like, seriously, the females do it because they have a lack of contenders with star power. So that's why they do it so much. But as far as the guys are concerned, come on, man. It's not like he didn't. Look, you fought Josh Taylor, you beat him, but there's still other guys. And on top of that, like I said, if you're not going to 147 to fight, there's no belt you can win right now at 147 that matters if Terrence Crawford is not over there. So if you're going up to 147, as far as I'm concerned, it would be a test of water type fight. And it would be more than one. The same way when he went to 140, what did he do? He fought 3 times, right? Before he finally fought Josh Taylor. 2 or 3 times, definitely. You know, and he claimed that they was going to go have one tune-up, then them and Josh. No, it was like 2 or 3 fights. And it was spaced out. It happened. He won. He won. But, you know, all this back and forth, up and down in weight, it's just not necessary. So anyway, talk to me in the comment section, yo. I don't know what's going on. I just hear a lot of people talking, and this news is just like so-called boxing news. You know, this particular thing I've heard several people talk about, and it's like, okay. Some of it I only heard one person talk about. Then there's other stuff, just, yeah, other people are just saying things. So certain things I'm not even talking about. So this is the last video I'm doing today about this type of subject. So this he said, she said, or he's supposed to be fighting this person, and it is what it is. Anyway, never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all in the next video.